BYD has just sold over 1 million BYD Seagulls or BYD Dolphin Surfs in the first 2 years. It's a direct challenge to Honda, Toyota, Volkswagen, Hyundai, Kia. I'm sure it's making them a bit nervous. So what makes the Seagull succeed where others haven't? How have they done it and how has it done so well? Let's try to pin that down in this video. So let's look at what it offers. It's a simple, honest hatchback, nothing too crazy to look at, just pretty nice looking. You get 204 miles WLTP, real world range, or 330 kilometers. You get 43 kilowatt hour blade battery, 41 kilowatt hours of that is usable, 154 horsepower, 0 to 60 miles an hour, or 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. In theory, it's 9 seconds, but in reality, if you look at the What Car drag race, for example, 8 seconds is what you're getting in the real world. Some people are saying it's too expensive in the UK. Would you agree? It's £22,000 for the large battery one, and that's the one to get because it has battery cooling on it and using the air conditioning and heating. So the small battery doesn't, the large one does, and that's £22,000 or 44,000 Aussie dollars. It's cheap, it's not fancy, it's not trying to be pretentious or anything that it isn't, it's not premium. It does exactly what people need, not necessarily what they want. So the MG4 does offer more, more power, more range, bigger battery, more options. It's also more expensive. Exactly the same with the BYD Dolphin, more comfortable, bigger range, bigger battery, more power, that sort of thing. So the BYD Seagull undercuts them. You get less battery, less range, less comfort, things like that. But it's good enough that it's compelling and people are buying them. 1 million people have bought one. We are watching China quietly corner the affordable EV market, whilst other brands are seemingly doing nothing, like Toyota or Honda. They're just not showing up to the party. So many people around the world want a Toyota Yaris EV or a Honda Jazz EV. They desperately want that, and they're not getting it. Other than the Insta, what else is there that is really affordable to a large audience? So the closest would be the Dolphin, right? But this is also the most price-sensitive part of the market. So Western brands basically left the door wide open to Chinese companies coming and harvesting some market share. Another reason I think BYD are doing so well is their finance deals. It's obviously hard times for a lot of people. Cost of living crisis, housing crisis, for example, depends which country you look at. They've got 0% finance and 1.9% finance. You've also got novated lease in Australia where you can avoid GST, for example. It's a good option for a lot of people. And it doesn't really come with as much politics as Tesla. This is obviously an elephant in the room. If you check on the Tesla website, the Model Y, $68,000. On finance, you pay $80,000 back. So it's not exactly compelling. These are all reasons why people are going toward BYD. So the Seagull is doing what Toyota did with the Corolla in the 70s and 80s. It's cheap, basic, compelling. You can buy it in white or black. Nothing crazy, no pearl colours or anything like that. The Model Y, I think it was $3,000 extra, just if you want it in red. $3,000 extra. A simple, cheap car that's reliable and accessible to the mass market, it appeals to everybody, so that's why they're selling 1 million of them in 24 months. The BYD just sold 55,000 in a single month, a month or so ago. They actually have averaged 40,000 every month for the last 2 years. So that's more cars than Volvo sold in 2024 for all of their range. They sold 760,000 vehicles globally for all of their cars last year. BYD already overtook Tesla in sales. So if you look at some of the biggest cars of the past 20 years, say the Prius, let's just call that the Prius, one of them, 6 million cars in 25 years. It's not bad, but BYD just sold 1 million of this car in 2 years. So it's a big deal. That's kind of what we're seeing here. The Prius was a big deal. This is a very big deal. It really, really is. Something that gets mentioned as well, but seemingly people are not overly concerned with, is the ANCAP rating or NCAP rating in Europe. People are buying a small car and they're not necessarily fussed about the safety aspect as much as people buying SUVs, because by definition, you're buying a hatchback, a little car in a world where it's very SUV centric, and so you're probably not overly anxious about safety, but you care, but not overly stressed about it because you're actually going to purchase a hatchback. So I don't think people really mind if a car is 3 stars out of 5 or 4 stars out of 5. I definitely don't. The Seagull is likely to get 4 stars, for example, but it was mentioned that it needed to get 5 stars to go to Australia. But then actually after a while, I think that's kind of backtracked now, even though it still hasn't got a formal rating. People kind of are aware that it's going to come with a 4-star, most likely. But, you know, the data shows that whether it's a 4-star or 5-star, the difference is negligible in, you know, it's not meaningful really in terms of sales. I'm always reading comments about how people don't respect the rating anyway. People think it's really not a positive thing anymore because the people that do it have gone a bit crazy, in some people's opinion, in the comments. Someone said recently, how can you respect the rating if you get a 3-star car today and it was a 5-car star 2 years ago? How can you respect that? The Renault Zoe scored 0 out of 5 stars, even though it's largely the same as other small cars, but some things in the cabin flew around a bit in the test, and so therefore they slashed it and gave it a 0 out of 5 stars. Some people think that that is ridiculous, and because of some small nuances, they've all but disregarded it, and so therefore the Zoe came with a 0 rating. If you remember in 2005, one of the most commonly sold hatchbacks in the UK was a Peugeot 206. That was a 3-star vehicle. Obviously people don't stress about it too much, so I would argue people shouldn't stress about the rating so much. The important thing here is not the sales figures, but about how the EV landscape is shifting, how it's mutating, how it's, you know, where is it going? Because it's nice to see that we've got these small cars coming in a world where it seems like everybody's a bit SUV centric. And I think it's really nice to see that these brands see a place for small cars. Obviously, that's one little thing that we can take as a positive, I think. So BYD isn't just hunting down big brands like Tesla. They've got their eye on the whole market, apart from the tuk-tuk market, seemingly, which in 2025, right now, isn't a bad thing, I think. It's healthy competition. So as long as Toyota want to ask for £24,000 in the UK for a Toyota Yaris hybrid, we will need competition to bring down that price. That doesn't hide the fact that Toyota have record profits in the last few years. Even though they've been very, very stubborn with their transition to EVs, they're really doing quite well with the hybrid business, to be honest. They're making more money than they've ever made. If Toyota or Volkswagen basically don't start offering something very comparable in the small car segment, they're going to lose a lot of next generation buyers, I think. And I think I'm not just talking about small cars, but medium-sized cars as well. The Toyota Yaris EV with 330 kilometers of range with LFP chemistry. When is that? They need to really bring that in the next 5 years, I think. Otherwise, that's a big loss for them. For a lot of people, I think the BYD Seagull might be the only electric car they can afford. I've seen lots of people say over the last 5 years that they've overbought with their EV. They paid more than they really should have paid for a car because they couldn't really afford it, but they wanted it. They coveted it so much, and it got the better of them. Now we may not have to do that, which is great. Hey folks, Ben Alexander here. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate your time. Please let me know in the comments if you would rather have one of these, a BYD Seagull or a Toyota Yaris EV, if all the numbers were exactly the same chemistry, same battery, same range, basically the same size. Which would you buy? And also, would you buy a Seagull if it was available in your country? And what is the top amount of money you would pay cash for a BYD Seagull?